So on this channel, I've made a few videos where I ask the question, what if Pokemon that evolve once evolved twice? Because they still obviously have that capability, and frankly, there's a lot of potential there. So that is why we are here today and what we are going to cover in this video. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it could be like if a few more two-stage Pokemon had third-stage evolutions. Why don't we begin with a rather iconic two-stage line, like Zorua and Zoroark, for example. These two are basically the mascots of Gen 5, and they're pretty great as they are, but what if they evolved again? Well, that could look something like this. This is Zorrendous, and as a third stage evolution, it is meant to be the prime form of the Zoroark family. Upon evolving, Zorrendous has become more vicious and conniving than ever before, and has become quite the ruthless beast, who won't hesitate to tear apart anyone that comes across it. It is still a pure dark type, and still has the same illusion abilities as the rest of the Zoroark line, but its added strength has enabled it to truly be able to cause havoc, both as an illusion and in its true form, at a level it has never known before, and it relishes that opportunity. Appearance-wise, it doesn't result in a drastic change compared to Zoroark, but rather it goes for the bigger, stronger version of the previous form route that we saw in a lot of evolutions in Gen 1, for example. And as we all know, Gen 5 was very much a soft reboot of Gen 1, so this is subtly reflective of that. This time around, I have also decided to come up with evolution methods for these Pokemon as well, since someone suggested that on one of my previous videos, and it would just be fun to detail that aspect of these Pokemon as well. So for Zorrendous, it would simply evolve from Zoroark when reaching level 50. Which I know is pretty high, but since Zorua evolves into Zoroark at level 30, I figured it shouldn't evolve again too quickly, and this should be the kind of evolution that you really have to earn. And growing 20 more levels from Zoroark feels like a good amount for that, so you have to work for it, and the line doesn't move on from Zoroark too quickly either. Finally, the name Zorrendous is simple yet complex at the same time, as just like its pre-evolutions, it uses Zorro in its name, which is the Spanish word for fox, and then it also adds in the word horrendous. Spelling-wise, it actually just swaps out the H for a Z, but the etymology goes way deeper, which is why I think this name works so well. It obviously literally describes this Pokemon as horrendous, or horrifying, or horrific, or any of those kinds of words, which it most certainly is, as this Pokemon is meant to bring a sense of horror into the hearts of those who cross its path, and its name reflects that. However, if you go deeper into the etymology of the word horror, you'll find even more meaning that connects to Zorrendous. According to Merriam-Webster, the word horror comes from the Latin word horrere, which could refer to the bristling of one's hair when it stands on end, like when you're afraid of something, and it also could mean to have a rough, unkempt appearance. Basically, it describes rough, unkempt, hairy-looking things, which is exactly what Zorrendous is now, with its unkempt mane and more wild animalistic appearance. So while Zorrendous is a simple name on the surface, it also has multiple layers of connection to the design of this Pokemon itself, which I think makes for a pretty solid Pokemon name, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and move on from the Zoroark family though, and take a look now at Appleton. Appleton is quite possibly my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon, and it is just all around amazing and adorable. However, despite being part of a split evolution, it and its counterpart Flapple are only second stage Pokemon. So what if Appleton in particular evolved one more time instead? Well, it could look something like this. This is Staragon, and this one is probably my favorite design of the whole video. When looking at Applin and its evolutions, it came to my mind how easily they could have actually been pseudo-legendaries if things had turned out just a little bit differently, since they're dragon types and they all have a pretty distinctive appearance. So I wanted to design Staragon as if these were in fact pseudo-legendary Pokemon, and it was the final evolution. Following in the footsteps of Appleton though, I wanted it to be one of those friendly pseudo-legendaries such as Dragonite or Goodra, the kind that look like you could just go up to and give them a big hug, but can also beat the ever-living crap out of you whenever they feel like it. It's, of course, also grass dragon type, just like its pre-evolutions, and when it comes to an evolution method, since you have to give Applin a sweet apple to make it evolve into Appleton, I thought it would be interesting if you had to give Appleton the tart apple that is required for Flapple to have it evolve into Staragon. And while this was designed as an Appleton evolution specifically, I feel like you could also do the opposite and make it so both Flapple and Appleton could evolve into this Pokemon, and they would just require the opposite apple that they used to evolve from Applin. So again, Appleton would use the tart apple, and Flapple would use the sweet apple. That would actually be kind of cool and unique, since we've never had a split evolution that reverts back to a singular evolution like that, and since Flapple and Appleton already share a Gigantamax form, why not an actual evolution as well? Finally, we now have to address the name. You've probably been wondering where Staragon comes from, since it is pretty different to the names of all of the other members of this family, and it's a pretty deep cut of a name that actually describes this Pokemon perfectly, despite seeming a little strange on the surface. The name Staragon is actually based on Cockney rhyming slang, a type of slang that is especially prevalent in England, where the Galar region is based and where these Pokemon come from, and it is meant to sort of confuse and bewilder those who aren't in the know. It involves replacing words with phrases, and then only uses part of those phrases as a sort of code. For instance, one of the most common and prominent examples of this slang has to do with the word stairs. In the rhyming slang, stairs is replaced by the phrase apples and pears, since it rhymes, but then you only use the first word of that phrase as the replacement in your sentence. So if you were to say climb up the stairs, you would say climb up the apples instead. So, in short, apple replaces the word stairs in this British-based slang, so the word stair has replaced apples in the name of this British-based Pokemon. But it's not stairs as in the stairs that you climb, it goes even further than that by using the word stare, as in to stare at someone, because one of the most distinctive visual traits of these Pokemon, including Staragon, are its eyes, which kinda just have a blank stare of an expression to them. So, Staragon, while being sort of a roundabout name, comes together really well in my opinion, and it is the exact kind of thing that I would love to see happen in an Appleton or Flapple evolution. Alright, this next one is quite interesting because it actually ended up being an unintentional prediction of a Pokemon that we ended up getting in Scarlet and Violet, but I still wanted to go over what my concept is as well, because I really enjoy it. This is Armafan, and it is a concept for an evolution of Donphan. Now, you might be able to see the resemblance already, but this is overall pretty similar to Iron Treads, the future Paradox form of Donphan that we got in Scarlet and Violet. However, according to my records, I actually started putting together this video and determined which Pokemon I was going to give evolutions to and what they were going to be about a year ago in July of 2022, which was well before we knew about Iron Treads, and also I don't look at leaks, so even if it was leaked, I had no idea at all at the time that this was going to be a thing. And with Scarlet and Violet hype happening last year and lots of other things going on, it obviously took a while for me to get around to making this video. But I wanted to still explore my version of what a futuristic Donphan could look like, because I think it's pretty cool. I just wanted to state for the record, just so we're clear, that I did come up with this before Iron Treads was actually known about. So, just like Iron Treads, Armafan is also ground steel type. However, the concept behind that typing is where these Pokemon start to split apart. While Iron Treads is steel type because it's a robot from the future, Armafan is steel type because it's a cannon. One of the coolest things about Donphan, this Pokemon's pre-evolution, is that it is partially inspired by a wheel, and its design reflects that pretty ingeniously. So I wanted to build on that concept with an evolution, and a cool upgrade from a wheel, in my mind, was a cannon. Especially because these Pokemon are elephants who have trunks, so a cannon motif just works perfectly on multiple different levels. Its tusks also become cannons too, which makes this a very weaponized Pokemon. And that is also where it gets its name, as Armafan comes from elephant, just like its pre-evolutions, and armory, as in a place where a lot of weapons are stored, referencing its cannons. But it also comes from armor too, since it is literally an armored Pokemon now with its steel type. So the name, just like the design, works on multiple levels, and when Pokemon designs work on multiple levels, you know you're doing something right. The method of evolution for Armafan would simply be to level it up while holding a metal coat, since the metal coat is what a lot of Gen 2 steel types use to evolve, so I thought it was fitting. However, I'm not gonna make you trade to do it like they do because I'm not a monster, so just leveling up while holding the item will do. Most importantly of all though, I have got to give it up to the artist who helped me to draw all of the artwork of the designs you've seen in this video. Oscar Belmonte does great work. You should know all about him already if you've watched any of my videos because he does a lot of awesome stuff for me, so be sure to check him out with the links in the description. And while you're down there, be sure to let me know which of these 3 evolutions you like the most in the comments. And be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new, because it really helps out. You can also help out the channel by listening to my Pokemon remixes, which I make, in case you didn't know, on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your music. That helps out the channel a ton right back here, so consider giving me a listen on those platforms if you're able to. I would really appreciate it. With that said, I'll be back with another video very soon, and until the next one, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really do appreciate it a lot, and I will smell you guys later.